Gate 21, biting through. The gate of the huntress. The justified and necessary use of power in overcoming deliberate and persistent interference. The channel of materialism is unique in the body graph. It stands alone as a single channel, self-enclosed unit. It is the only outlet for the two streams of awareness, which determine the nature of the ego, its strengths and its will. In this sense, it rules our tribal life. Biting through is the power for life on the material plane. It is a great conditioning force in the world. To have this gate in your design demands that you control where you live, what you wear, and what you eat. This gate can never afford to have a boss leaning over their shoulder. This is the gate of the huntress, and it is their ego drive to dominate. If this gate had a voice, it would say, "I control." If it is in a situation where it does not control, its power can never be fulfilled. This channel is keynoted as the money line. For the 21, if they're not in control of how they make their living, they're always far from success. Line 1, warning. The use of force as a last resort. Exalted, the fierceness to be respected without recourse to action. The willpower and ego to ensure respect. Detriment, an inherent peacefulness that all too often turns a necessary warning into a plea. A lack of willpower that is forced to ask for respect. Line 2, might is right. The legitimacy of action in response to flagrant and persistent interference. Exalted, powerful and extreme reaction. Here, the severest action will be the most successful. The legitimate rejection of interference on the material plane. Detriment, a tendency to regret severity no matter how legitimate. The ego uncontrollable with severity. Line 3, powerlessness. Where the just are condemned to a futile confrontation with superior forces. Exalted, defeat as a survivable humiliation, often acceptable through the abuse of drugs and alcohol. Unless one follows one's own material path, the breaking of the ego by superiors. Detriment, total withdrawal. A lack of will for the material path in order to protect the ego. Line 4, strategy. Careful appraisal of opposing forces to establish a proper response. Exalted, success in action through clarity. The ego to succeed on the material plane, and the instinct to use willpower effectively in response to conditions. Detriment, a tendency when in the right to misjudge the power of one's opponents. The drive when in the right to follow one's ego rather than one's instincts. Line 5, objectivity. The use of force must be based on impartiality, not emotionally motivated. Exalted, a principled and legal character that ensures objectivity. The balanced ego whose willpower is applied objectively. Detriment, the drive for elimination is so powerful that objectivity is related purely to cause and not effect. The ego whose willpower is applied subjectively. Line 6, chaos. Where ineffective action leads to disorder. Exalted, the war of attrition. The continuance of legitimate action in the hope of eventually succeeding despite all odds and increasing disorder. Where the ego is out of touch, the display of willpower leads to disorder. Detriment, withdrawal and reliance on inner order in a chaotic situation. Where the material direction is chaotic, the ego will withdraw and use its power to find an inner order.